Hello and welcome to tutorial 175 in this series of tutorials and programs that focus on TradeStation EasyLanguage. If you're interested in this sort of thing, then please join the Markplex email list and also subscribe to this video channel. So in today's tutorial, we're going to be looking at creating a form that contains the contents of an RSS feed, in this case, one from the Wall Street Journal. And you can see we've got a title, a publish date, and a URI. And when you click the URI, that puts the contents of the web page on a little browser below the list of elements of the feed. So we're going to do this mostly by using the toolbox and a little bit of extra code, but let me just talk you through the program. The first thing I did in creating the program is if you right click on this area here and you can say add form, and I created a form. I'll just redo it partially just so you can see what I did. And then once that form is open, I can go to toolbox, and I could add the DataGrid view and just do a little bit of basic resizing here, and then also the web browser. Again, just going to do a little bit of resizing just so that you can see how you do that, but later on you would probably go back in and change the sizing depending also on your resolution. So once the DG view was opened, I then went to columns. In the columns, I created 3 columns, and we need 3 types of column. You'll see here at the bottom, we need one for text, which is going to be where the title of the item is. The second one for the publish date, so that's the date time picker column. And then the third one was for the URI, so that would be the link column. In terms of the information in each of those, we could set the title, or we did set the title, the width, and so on. We can also check the sort mode and the visibility. Anyway, so what I'm going to do, I'm just going to delete that form because, actually before I do, very important, with the DataGrid view, we need to set an event, and we need to create cell mouse click. We do that by double clicking in the area here, then that will add some code. So the other thing we did is we added so let's just go back to the program. We added an RSS feed, and we did that going into this area here, double clicking there and entering the value of the feed within quotes. Now incidentally, if you're not seeing that, if you right click here and say choose items, you'll be able to add any items that are missing. So let's go back to the program. I'm just going to click on resource view because we don't need form 2. So I've selected that. I'm going to right click and say remove form. Okay, so we're back to our original program. Just verify that. We'll see it appearing. And if we just click on any one of the items, that item should open up in this area here. So in terms of, one other thing I did was in properties, I double clicked on this area here for the actual program. So this creates the initialized method which we use when we first start the program. And the first thing we did was we showed the form. We're just using form 1, that's the name of the form. Then it's just .show and then brackets. And then you can use in IntelliSense, you'll see it will suggest items there, but we need to show the form, otherwise it will not appear. I also did a little bit of sizing for the columns, but that is not critical, and you can size those manually. The other thing to bear in mind is that we actually have the form is not open for this original program at the moment. If you do get that, you can go to resource view, and then if you double click there, you'll see that the form is back, and you could then go in and make adjustments if you wish to. So let's continue looking at the program. Let's first of all look at the RSS provider. So when the RSS provider fires, then what we need to do is add something to our list. What we're looking for is an args.reason. This is the value coming from the update event provider. We need to check it's either a real-time update or an initial update. I also check that the data wasn't null. We need to create a row. We can do that just using DataGrid view row.create. And incidentally, any of this syntax we can look at by opening up the dictionary and searching for the DataGrid view. Incidentally, I created a variable for that row there before we created it. And then once we've created it, we need to insert it into the grid view. And the syntax for that is DataGrid view 1, which is the name of our DataGrid view, .rows.insert. And again, the syntax for that you can find by looking in the dictionary, or you can just copy what I've included here. So I've inserted the row. Now we need to add some cells, or rather put the values of some cells. And we do that just using the simple syntax row.cells, and row being this variable here that we've created. Row.cells, square bracket 0 for the first column, 1 for the second, 2 for the third, dot value, and then we've got the title. Again, this is coming from the event. The publish date, I've just done a little bit of formatting there. Incidentally, if you're interested in that, you can look at the format and find more information, particularly about the format codes. So you can format dates however you like. And then finally, the URI. The other thing that I've done is just added a sort, because we're going to sort on column 1 and we're going to do it descending. That's going to make sure it stays in date order. So that is the RSS. In terms of the grid, we created an event when we clicked a mouse, so that the grid can determine where the mouse is clicked. And we say if args.column index as type integer equals 2. In other words, we're looking at the column of the URIs, the web addresses, if it's 2 and it's greater or equal to 0. Because if you don't do that, if you don't set it to check that the row number is greater than equal to 0, if you actually click on the column header, you'll get an index of -1, and that will generate an error. We just simply go WebBrowser 1, which is the name of the web browser we created in our form, just the default name, .navigate, and then we can put in the value of the URI, and that can be found in DataGrid view.rows, the row index that was clicked, and cell number 2, .value.toString. I also added some namespaces at the top of the program here. In fact, we don't need this one, not using any collections, and the others are used for the form and for the data. And because we've added those, what we could do is abbreviate some of these methods. For example, we don't need to include that or that, and so on. But there's no need to spend time doing that. So if you wanted to go back in and adjust the size of the columns, we would click on the data grid and go to properties and make sure that we've got it on the property tab, and then go into collections, and there you can change the names and the column widths, etc. So you'll see I've got header text, title, and width of 1000, and again that's probably, or it is dependent on how big your screen resolution is. Okay, well, I hope that's useful, and I will make a download available. Please, as I mentioned at the beginning, join the email list and subscribe to this channel. Thank you.